different parts of the and grew up in different parts of the world. And Renuka means our names are very meaningful. Um, Renuka is the name of the goddess in the temple in the town I was born in. And Rajasekaran is the first name of my husband. And on the day of wedding, we take our last name from the first name of the husband. That's how it is. And Rajasekaran means god of the environment. So it's symbolically a goddess married to a god. That is a kind of a association, meaning-wise, that is the association. And I'm a very little strange person in the sense that I've been so much interested into studies. So my first PhD I did in bioelectrochemistry on mercury pollution and how it reacts with the amino acids and what reactions go on. That was my first PhD. Then I went in for my second PhD in science education. And after completing that, after some time, I went for my third PhD in research education. So it's a kind of more involved into chemistry education, and research education. That's what I am. So formerly, I was the scientist of Government of India. Then when I traveled abroad around places, and when I came to the United States, I started working in the university first. But I found that students are not adequately prepared for college. Instead of failing in the high school, they come and fail in the college. That was a very painful understanding. So I thought my services should be in the high school. And I quit my job at the university and then came to the high school. And once I came to the high school, I realized that once you get in, it will be very difficult to get out of here. And that is the nature of things here. And I'm here. I teach at Loyola High School, and this is a high school in a town called Locust Grove in Georgia, and it is on I-75. We are away from the exit to 116, about 2 miles. So it is a highly industrial area. And that's why, the population is growing constantly. And we have been expanding schools. Our school became so populated, we had to construct another school. And again, the population is on the increase. So because of the job opportunities, people from California, people from all the northern and the western states, they are migrating to Georgia. That's the status here. And today's topic is engines of inquiry. And if you would permit, I want to share my screen, and I will follow over a PowerPoint, which I prepared for this one. So I am to go to share screen. Then there are multiple things. So I'm going to share this. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so how do I make it big slideshow? That's what I should do, or is there a present mode? I'm quite new to, we do Google Meet a lot. Zoom is not okay, from the beginning, I got it. So our agenda for today is why inquiry, how to inquire, what to inquire, how expensive is an inquiry process, how will we find time and resources for the inquiry. And given this little bit of details, that was the agenda. Why inquiry? Why is it so much talked about? And is it something new? Is it something of recent origin? Or is it something we know for a long time? If that question is asked, the answer is inquiry is a natural instinct for all living beings. And there was a cognitive psychologist called Bloomberg who did an extensive research, and his discovery is that every individual species in all the animal kingdoms, and also to some extent plants, do have this innate tendency to the reflex and response, but animals have much more to exhibit than the plants themselves. And he said that although there is an innate tendency for organisms to inquire, but it only evolves It is not anything genetically programmed. It is not anything a permanent feature. So it means that by providing conducive environments, by providing experiences to the individual, any individual animal could evolve the inquiry process. That was a very remarkable discovery, I would say. Very classic discovery was it. So he said that inquiry evolves. It means that the inquiry tendency also can disappear out of disuse. That is the meaning of it. When do we inquire? We inquire when we become curious. When do you become curious? When there is a point of departure. So there is something unconventional, something out of routine, something out of normal that catches your attention, then immediately you are responding to that unique deviation or the departure, the point of departure, like the Pisa Tower again. A classic example of how the deviation happens. The point of departure comes in 3 different formats. It can come to you as a surprise. It can come because of a practical need that you have encountered or you are assigned with. And it could be pure ignorance. You have not encountered something, you are encountering that particular unique, strange experience for the first time, then you become curious. So there are 3 routes for the generation of the point of departure. What is surprise then? We are surprised to observe something or to learn an information that does not cohere with an existing knowledge. All right, there is a prevalent knowledge, but you are learning for the first time something new that doesn't flow with a routine. For example, Earth is the only planet which has a single moon. No other planet has it. This is a kind of a deviation, very distinctly, uniquely is the behavior of the Earth. Then you get into the inquiry process. It is a surprise. Then what is the practical need? Practical need for a scientist or an educator, it comes in so many different formats. Like we are opening the school, so many needs emerge, okay? The need of last year is very different from the need of today. So there is a need, practical need that you've got to fulfill that need. In that circumstance, you become curious. How to do, what to do. Okay, for example, the government is going to ask the scientists to find a plant-derived vaccine for COVID. This is a practical need. Then scientists are going to become curious, and because it is a point of departure. Vaccine for a long time has been associated with animal origin. Therefore, we are going to have the curiosity to inquire. Ignorance. How ignorance could enthuse inquiry. For instance, a scientist has a considerable knowledge about a phenomenon. Let us say that phenomenon is P1. And there is a phenomenon P2, which is very similar to the phenomenon P1. And so many kinds of information are available about the phenomenon P1, but about the phenomenon P2, there is very less information. Therefore, the scientist is now triggered to inquire about P2. They look similar. Is P2 going to be similar to P1 or is going to have deviations? So now we understand that there are 3 root causes for the inquiry process to start. Now, let us quickly review before we build too much. Let us review the background information. If you could, you can speak your answer. What did we understand from inquiry as a natural instinct? The question is,
It has to develop.
it develops. Very good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. What learning conditions promote inquiry process?
Surprise.
Very good. Excellent.
Practical need.
Very good. Excellent. Is there anything more?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. So there are 3. So if you want our students to enter into the inquiry process, our learning environment should provide these three. Okay, so if you provide it, depending on the capacity, depending on the likelihood of acceptance from the student, people can take any three method of inquiry for them, depending on the triggering process. All right. So what is the role of the teacher in student-led inquiries?
Guidance.
Guidance. Guidance and facilitation. Can we say that teachers are facilitators? They are not going to be a part of the inquiry process. They are distant and they are helping the inquiry process to be proceeding. Very good. Besides the heightened mental involvement, how does the inquiry enthuse? I didn't cover it. Let me go back to this one. Here is a deer, okay? It is responding to certain stimuli in the environment, okay? That could be an onset of a human being or a vehicle or something is there, and look at its body. It is alert. Here, prairie dogs. There is some environmental cue and they are now responding to that. All right, so this is an inquiry. What is it? Is it person approaching to me or is he going to stand there? So they are assessing the whole situation and then they are going to accordingly, they may withdraw into the holes. The deer may be planning to cross the road. We don't know what it is. So inquiry, besides the mental involvement, enthuses an individual into a total physical response. It could be the eyes could become opened up, or it could be even sometimes, they get up, they dance, they scream, so many things happen. Wow, is that so? That is not even possible. All these kind of, expressions, physical responses, you will be able to see in your students if they are actively involved in an inquiry process. So that is the fourth question. There is a heightened mental involvement and also it induces total physical response for the individual. We also belong to the animal kingdom, therefore, individual human beings also respond to the inquiry process in a total physical response manner. The degree of the total physical response might differ from person to person, but it is present in everybody who's interested in the or involved in the inquiry process to a varying degree. All right. Now, why inquire? Again, this question, we are repeatedly asking this question because when we raise this question, why inquire, we came to when we inquire and how we inquire. We already answered the two questions, but the why is continuous. Because it is an active, dynamic process of learning, very active, mentally heightened, physically motivated. So you are, as a total person, you are geared into this inquiry process. When you are totally involved in it, you become owner of it. In all the IT industries today, you have a job called a product owner. Okay, everybody owns the product and they are specialists in it. Any problem they are able to tackle in that. In that way, our students become autonomous in their learning process. They own their learning and they become responsible for it. So instead of we putting the responsibility, they take the responsibility autonomously without having to give us the burden of putting the burden on them. All right. And also it enables them as a continuous process, learning as a continuous process, because they cannot stop. They themselves are able to realize that in order to come out with a total understanding of a learning product or a learning situation, they have to do more. With one thing, they will not be able to complete it. So that learning comes to them. Therefore, they become continued or learning continues in them. All right. Now, this is very important. When there is an inquiry process, there are three connections that are established. The student connects with the content. The student connects with other students. The student connects with the teacher. I'm just giving some pictures from our school. And sometime back, few years back, we had the total solar eclipse. It was a school day. On that day, we just put up some inquiry for the challenge for the students. And then they came up with an idea. During the solar eclipse day, is the construction paper going to bleach faster or more efficiently than normal solar days? So they initiated the inquiry even 1 week ahead, and they have been putting the construction paper outside the sun and in order for the paper not to fly, and they have been doing it. So there is a teacher, there is a student content connection, there is student-student connection, and you are able to see that the teacher and student are, they are debating. Oh, today it is more, today it is less. All those kind of, dialogue is taking place. So three-way connections are there. This is a remarkable feature of inquiry process because such a kind of interaction, triumvirate interaction is hard to achieve in normal settings. All right. If inquiry is so useful, if inquiry is something that is so much interesting and engaging the student, then what is the real backbone of it? Okay. So let us watch this video. I can, I don't know how to, is there a chat facility? I can copy this or. I don't know how to go to the chat. Let's see. Maybe here, show grid, show small, hide, mute. I don't know how to go to chat. I'm new to Zoom. We use Google Meet a lot. Okay.
There should be a chat button at the bottom, like when you kind of put your cursor at the bottom of Zoom, then you can see like share screen or chat participants.
There might be, it might just say more, M-O-R-E ...
Move, hide, rename, mute, stop video, choose virtual background, choose video filter, pin. That's okay. And let me not struggle too much. I don't know where it is. Show.
Usually if you're in present mode, you should be able to click on it and it can play if you've got it set as share your computer sounds or something like that. So we can try that. And maybe that the link isn't quite.
Okay, I got it. I have the chat facility over here. I discovered that.
Okay.
So. Oh, it did not copy. I think I put the.
Oh, you put it in the chat. Perfect.
Yes. It's a.
Yep, it's there.
It's
2 minutes video. Did you bring more? Oh, okay. 28.
Zoom.
Now, the question is, what is the main backbone of an inquiry process? There was so much of allied information here, but there are at least multiple times one particular entity is being referred to over and over. If you want some clue, I'm putting this here. This backbone is in a particular format, in a particular design. I'll give you some cue to what we are talking about here.
You mean questions?
Question. Awesome, awesome, awesome question.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone has a good morning. Certainly probably going to have a call soon. So please let you know that homeroom rosters should be posted shortly. They'll be posted in 3 locations. One at the entry of the 700 hall on those display cases, one in the commons, and one along the windows of the gym. So homeroom rosters should be going up shortly. Schedules for students, for homeroom teachers, your students' schedules should be in your box about 11:30. So that's kind of what's going on here. And everybody continue to be ready. Let's have a good time.
Thank you for your patience. I'm talking from my school. We are getting ready for our open house, and tomorrow is our day 1 of school.
Oh,
So-
my.
Some announcements keep coming in between. I'm sorry about that. So questions are the backbone of an inquiry process. If that is so important, if that is a main framework on which inquiry has to be designed, then what questions should we be using? Because when you go to the internet or the literature, look for it, there are millions of types of questions, I would say. So what is something that science can bank upon? Who is the forerunner? Aristotle. Aristotle is the forerunner of research education. He put the 4 basic questions. He was the very first person to put 4 basic questions for an inquiry process. He said in his famous Posterior Analytica, he said, when we ascertain the thing's existence, we inquire into its nature. When we know the fact, we ask the reason. This is how, once we know a new teacher comes to my school, okay, we verify, we know that she is existing, then we get into understanding her nature, okay, because you're going to collaborate, you're going to work together. Then you know about certain facts she is sharing, then we are going to ask some reason, okay, she's bringing a new knowledge. She was working in another school district, she's coming here, she's doing something in a particular way. You are curious to know the reason behind it, what are the benefits of it, okay, you're going to ask. A simple example. So long ago, Aristotle put forth the 4 basic questions. It's called Aristotle's schema of 4 questions. Aristotle's schema of 4 questions was then taken up by Professor J.T. Dillon of University of California, Riverside, very famous person. He died in 2019, and he elaborated Aristotle's question into totally 16 questions. And he classified them, expanded Aristotle's 4 questions into first order question, second order question, third order question, and extra order questions. And you will see a 0 here. Under the first order question, you will see a 0. And he classified this as 0 order question. So you have 0 order question, a solitary question. Then you have first order questions, which are 4 in number. Second order question, then you have 4 in number. Then comes third order and extra order. This is Dillon's contribution to research, scientific research, and also educational research. Now, important things are, in the why it is called zero order, you are verifying the existence of some. Is there a, give me a second, let me get some water. Thank you for that. So, foremost, before you start an inquiry process, you have to affirm or negate the presence of something. Somebody says something, the Earth has 2 moons, okay, then you have to really affirm or negate whether there are 2 moons for the Earth, and then only you can proceed. Then you have to identify where the moon is, how is it, how far is it, yeah, what is the orbit in which it is revolving, all right, and all those things you have to identify. Then definition, what is a moon? You have to define. Then you go to nature and label it, then character, function. Under function, modes means everything. So it's going simple to complex. From qualitative to he is moving progressively to the quantitative methods of discovery. Here we have to be a little aware of conjunction and disjunction. Okay, for conjunction and disjunction, let us take an example. All right, if 2 phenomena or 2 entities are in conjunction, then 2 statements, 2 parts of the statement, same statement, compound statement has to be. For disjunction, if it is 1, that is correct. Let us take a chemistry example. Diamond is an allotrope of carbon because it contains only carbon and it has carbon-carbon bonds. Diamond will not become an allotrope if these 2 conditions are not satisfied. So it has to contain only carbon-carbon bonds, and it has to have only carbon. It needs to have carbon-carbon bonds. 2 parts of the same statement, the compound statement, have to be satisfied in order for conjunction to take place. Now, disjunction. Carbon belongs to group 4 of the periodic table because it has 4 valence electron and has multiple allotropic modifications. Here, the later part, namely multiple allotropic modification, is not necessarily has to become correct. Okay, because 4 valence electron itself qualifies for an element to be in the group 4 of the periodic table. Therefore, the second statement is an example of a disjunction. Why these languages are important is that in inquiry process, you are going to come across with various situations in which you've got to explain, you've got to elaborate, you've got to substantiate the findings of your inquiry. That's how the Dillon's elaboration of Aristotle's questions are so very handy for us to use it. All right. Now, why questions? Why not something else? Because questions are the engines of inquiry. Questions create knowledge. Knowledge create question. So it is a kind of a autonomous process of cyclical process in which knowledge creates questions, questions create knowledge, and they go in a they continuously reiterate, okay? And that is how it is. And when you have a paradigm shift, so question is going to feed into the knowledge is going to continuously grow, okay? And then sometime, instead of simple increment of knowledge, there could be a paradigm shift. Totally paradigm shift comes. Okay, for example, plant-based vaccines is a paradigm shift. When people have been researching animal-based vaccines, the plant-based vaccine is a paradigm shift. So questions and knowledge machinery is going to adequate times, it's going to give paradigm shift, which we call in science terminology as discovery, if it is basic science, and invention, if it is a technology product. All right, so questions are going to give us knowledge increment and also going to give paradigm shifts, which are termed as discovery or invention. Now, whenever we are doing inquiry in our classroom, collaborative inquiry is much more powerful than independent inquiry. Because as I told you, it's going to create a lot of language processes in the mind. It's going to create a lot of total physical responses to varied degree. So there is a need to communicate, there is a need to express, there is a need to verify. So that urgency is there in the individual when that particular individual is entitled to a solitary or a solitude situation, then the inquiry doesn't bloom to a level which it would bloom if it was a collaborative inquiry. All right. So heightened creativity will be there. For example, I just gave a little project. I'm just giving examples so that I don't have to take pictures. I have permission to use these pictures. That's why I'm using this example. So we were this is a part of a polymer club activity. I just assigned to them. All these polymeric materials were given. The task was to create a tower that will be self-standing with a given material that are there. And 3 groups were, and these are the 3 products. All right. So the tallest tower, self-standing on its own with a given material, and it has to be done, say, a matter of 7 minutes. That was the task given to them. Now we are saying that the 3. And what is the point of departure here? Okay, the product 1 on the rightmost, good product. This is also a good product. Okay, standalone, it satisfies the condition because this is a practical need. This curiosity comes from a practical need because of the assignment. All right, but this one, how would you call it? Would you call this as a failure or it is a point of departure? So according to the contest, it's a total failure concept. But what is it? It's a point of departure. Somewhere something gone incorrect, according to our terminology, according to the project conditions. But it's a leaning tower, okay? The Pisa tower continuously leaning, it leaned faster. So what were the conditions? They could further analyze it. So this is the point of departure we are talking about. No inquiry is a waste at any point of time, because this could be a seed for another thing. So we are seeing that novelty is created when collaborative inquiry is there, and there is heightened creativity. You and I cannot sit together to create these products. Neither we have the frame of mind, nor we have the time in our hands to do this, but all this was done within a matter of 10 minutes. Just a little example. So cognitive diversity is a very important ingredient, not only in science. And today, the multinational corporate sectors are investing a lot in the cognitive diversity. The multinational companies initially thought that by making their employee population more diverse from ethnical, racial groups, they thought that they would be able to enhance the creativity in their organization. But later studies have proved that that particular approach is not giving real results. Okay, because even within a given race, even within a given ethnical population, the creativity diverges in greater magnitude because every individual is very unique, and how they take advantage of the environmental conditions, the learning environment, and how they hone their skills, that differs. Therefore, the idea of diversity alone is going to enhance creativity is that has changed a paradigm shift. Now the companies are talking about cognitive diversity than about racial and ethnical diversity. It doesn't mean that they are not diverse. They are continuously being diverse, but now they are investing more on cognitive diversity within the physical diversity in terms of race and ethnic diverse population. This is very important. I'm giving you various research studies that lay the importance of cognitive diversity. And we are the people in whose immediate environment come the future of the world. The one who's sitting in your class could be the future engineer, doctor, dentist, congressman, senator, environmental lawyer. We don't know. So unless and until this big picture of the inquiry is in their mind, they cannot think of the big picture when they become bigger. Now, let us take a very small example of how we can use mundane things, okay? Inquiry process need not be expensive. You don't have to buy anything. All that around, even a water bottle, that is good enough. Let us take the example of a pencil. Look at the basic parts of a pencil. Okay, what is it? This one, that is, let me show the cursor here. What is this one? Students call it lead, am I correct?
Yep.
Okay, is it lead?
No.
It is not. Their dialogue begins, it is not lead. Why it was? Now we go to the history of why it was called lead. Now we have to introduce the word graphite. Is graphite something known to everybody who walk into our class? No. We have to introduce that it is a form of carbon. All right. How much of knowledge? Because inquiry cannot take place, although you have a mundane material, without adequate background knowledge, inquiry cannot take the trajectory. Because how your mind is going to respond to the inquiry process depends on the wealth of information that you've already gotten. Students have no other way to get the background information except from you. Because a student who is walking to me into my 8th period has already gone to so many periods and coming to me with a different frame of mind. All right, his or her mind is not triggered to initiate this background information, collect it, and then get it ready, pick it up. So much there. Then you have the wood here. On the top of the wood, you have the paint, third component. Then you have the aluminum. On the top of aluminum is coming the anodized paint. The golden paint is not aluminum. It is anodized aluminum with colorant in it. And here you have the rubber piece, eraser. Now, students can dissect it, display it. So you have an element carbon here, you have an element aluminum here. On the top of aluminum, you have aluminum oxide because aluminum is stable, always forms oxide. You go to the next level. You have paint, which is a polymer. You have the rubber, which is a polymer. But do they belong to the same category of polymers? No. Again, a knowledge. If they dissect and open, everybody takes a different pencil. If they dissect and open, the wood that is going into the pencil might differ. Although generally some particular wood is something shavable, but there are cheaper varieties of pencils that you get from cheap stores. They are made up of different type of wood. They can examine it. Different type of colors they come. What is a particular color? Why the polymers take different colors? What is the real pigment? So with nothing, you take their pencil and you make the inquiry process. All right. So nothing is expensive. You don't have to invest in it. I might just walk you through a kind of an intensive research process with nothing, no investment in it. All right. So I'm a traveler. I go around places. Long road trip is my vacation habit all the time. So I go around places and then observe certain things and I take pictures and then I just bring those experiences into my class. It's one of the several places wherever copper architecture is there. You can see that copper gets dissolved to some extent. But unusually, this particular building, it is also, there is a YouTube video on it, and it is permanently staying there on the roof, on the top port. It is not coming down. all the copper that has come out of the stucco is in the topmost part of the building. Nothing is coming down. Okay, that is, and look at this one, rust. When you have a rust iron component in the building, the rust is running down. The copper stain doesn't run down. Okay, this is a beautiful observation for a chemistry classroom. So I brought this idea into the classroom and then shared it with my, okay, then student thought processes, student get into thinking. Why is it? Some of the things that, questions that come into mind. Is rust smaller than copper? That's why it is able to run down. Is rust more soluble in water? That's why it is able to come down. Is the copper stain more polar than rust? Is the stucco absorbing and retaining the copper? Okay, is that whitewash, is it retaining? Is copper stain more adhesive than rust? Basic questions. These are not the correctly written in the scientific parlance, like a real professional scientist, but they are very meaningful questions. All right, so these are thought processes. Then again, questions are the engines of inquiry, and we go straight. All right, then this picture, they analyze it. This green is sticking on certain portions and not on certain portion. They classify it and then they label it and they get their thought processes more refined and sharp. Okay, now their mind becomes unrest. Something needs to be done. They go to the literature, they find out nobody else, even the topmost scientists sitting in the so many research labs, they have not discussed. There is no article about it. There is literally no explanation of what's going on with the copper and iron. All right. Although they are in different trivial type of language, articles are not there, but higher level research articles could be there. Okay, definitely. So now we have to empower with more background information because their mind has become unrest. All right. So what is marble? That particular building is made up of marble. So what is marble? What is its nature? Okay, that needed to be given. Then what's happening on the buildings? Immediately after rain, efflorescence, salt comes to the top. And we have to talk about humidity and the salt coming out of building, efflorescence. We know about the hydrated salts in chemistry class. So that background information needed to be given. Then we had to go to patinas. All right. So from patina, we talk about how the green color of copper, what are the various forms of patina, and how patinas are created on statues. All those information we talk about. Then they get into the inquiry process. How copper the colors of different forms of copper 1, copper 2, in association with the different anions, how the color differs, they get to an idea. But copper oxide could be black. All right. So all this basic information, they get it. Now they come back to the diagram and then analyze. Now they're going to say the white here could be the salty fluorescent copper. This could be something. They are able to now dissect the diagram into various chemical origins. All right. I didn't want to bore you with too many details, but the inquiry process, how it proceeds. Now we have to, all this background, they did not do any experiment as such, but now only they are going to do a mini inquiry. Now we have to simulate a condition of a building. The easiest one is a chalk piece. It costs nothing. Okay, a bunch of chalk piece given to them and copper solution given to them. Now they are going to examine the absorption of copper on chalk with different anions that are present in an architecture. Okay, we have a lot of phosphate in them. We have a lot of chloride in them. All right, all these kind of different anions, they are going to have the solution and copper is being absorbed. You see different patterns. In some conditions, copper doesn't get absorbed on chalk. In some places, it is not able to move. In some places, in some conditions, it's able to move. Now they're able to associate that the role of the anion is very important in determining how far the copper can move on the chalk. Here the chalk resembles the wall, all right? Now, we have to do some additional confirmative inquiry. Therefore, how about rust? What happens? Rust goes all the way to the top. And what happens if you have phosphate? Copper goes here, all right? Mini inquiry, which costs nothing, practically nothing. You don't have to invest anything at all here. Now, we have to give them questions to follow the inquiry. And if this is properly organized, then we get it. Now they're able to associate everything. And they're able to lay out a very good understanding of how phosphate, how sulfate, how chloride, individually and in combination, can give rise to different you're taking to a different level, solubility product, okay? Then how about poor countries? In United States, you can afford good quality water for building, but poor countries, will they be able to afford good potable quality water for building purposes? All right, then they are triggered to water problem in the around the world. From chemistry, they are going to the environmental side of it. All right, so several extensions are possible. Then with the same chalk, you can also see the erosion of chalk. If you put the chalk in immerse it in different concentrations of acid, you're going to have the erosion or the corrosion taking place, and the diameter is going to thin down to different degrees depending on the strength of the acid. Now, students can plot the pH versus the reduction in diameter, and they can come up with the least amount of acid concentration is necessary for the dissolution or the corrosion to be leveled. Okay, a cutoff point. Very good one, because it is very relevant to marbles. Wherever copper architecture is on a marble building, okay, any acid residues on the copper architecture is going to damage the building as well. That is the knowledge that students are able to produce here. Then chalk's connection to rain, acid rain, marble dissolution, carbon cycle. Simple chalk, it doesn't cost anything. They can take them to different level. And you may ask, can you use chalk repeatedly for different inquiries? You can use it, because the more familiar the material is, more they want it. Okay, more acceptance is there, because they know one aspect of chalk, they are able to explore the other aspect of chalk. For nearly one semester, we were using only chalk for different things. It was never boring for them. All right, now here is the situation. Here I have I took the picture. Here I have a very unique situation of copper and iron in the same part of a machinery. You see copper deposition. So where are we going? To single replacement reactions. Okay, when iron comes into contact with copper solution, copper comes out of the solution. So you literally are seeing metallic copper deposited on the soil.
That I'm also attached to that email, the Lions open house guide that will be giving out at the door as our guests come in. Thank you. The Lions to roar.
Thank you for your patience. We are moving. Very simple thing. Observations. You don't have to invest. When we go in the Google and in the images, I always so fond of going to any concert, I go to the images. From the images, fair use. We only use fair use for educational purposes. All right. So we can do inquiry in an inexpensive manner with mundane, right? And the same chalk can take so many variations of concepts in chemistry, chromatography, stoichiometry, periodic table, solubility product, types of reaction, reactivity series, physical chemistry of water, behavior of hydrated salts, then mineralogy and ore formation, then biology. For environmental science, we can go. All right. So the ingredient of an inquiry, therefore, is not money. It's not much of time as well. Within the limited planning time we have, we can still make beautiful inquiries. But correct choice of scenario is very important. In that respect, we have to become little creative. And then correct choice of additional reading research material. Like I gave a very concise, precise information about marble. If you allow them to do it on their own, they will not get it, because the internet is almost like a trash can. Getting good information, very precise, concise information in a succinct way, it's hard to get. Therefore, some of the basic background information we have got to provide and then infuse them. And this is the way that we are going to reduce the labor on their part, and their stressing out of an inquiry will become less. And also correct choice of mini inquiry activities, because if you leave it to themselves, they wouldn't know where to stop. They wouldn't know what to look for. So some amount of guidance would be needed. Then correct construction of post-inquiry questions we need to supply. Okay, that will be. So a well-planned and well-designed if a phenomenon, we have to take a phenomenon. It could be acid-base reaction, acid-base neutralization reaction. That is a concept, that's a phenomenon. Take a phenomenon that is observable, that can take place in a real time, from which students can make good observations, can become enthused, and they can go to the next level progressively and then come out with it. And this type of inquiry approach extremely useful for science fair, because in chemistry, doing science fair is very hard. People are not really inclined to doing science fair. And there's a lot of deficiency in chemistry for science fairs. And we could bank on inquiries for science fair. I think I am done with the presentation. I really wanted to finish it at least a little early so that we can talk about it. I can share much more experiences because I've been doing only chemistry for nearly 3 decades, and it's my life is synonymous with chemistry. And also because we are getting ready for our open house shortly, I also wanted to finish it a little early. Questions, comments, I'm here to respond to you.
This is Sandy Yeager. I really appreciate your examples and your follow through. It's very thorough. I really appreciate it, enjoyed it. I loved your examples.
Thank you very much.
Do you typically use photos always for your real world phenomena?
This is my 12th year in a row where we do parent chemistry nights here. Some years, if it is conducive, I have parent chemistry night in the first semester one time and second semester one time. And we set up stations, about 33 to 35 labs we normally set up. Of course, we change a few labs. And that experience continuously over several years have given a lot of pictures, videos, and also knowledge from parents. We have parents from different ethnic backgrounds. Several times parents are not able to come, but grandparents will come who are more wise than parents themselves. And also they bring their siblings. And if I set up an experiment in one way, when they do the experiment, they will exactly do the opposite. If the instruction, they don't want to read the instruction, okay? So if I ask some A to be added to B, they will add B to A. And that will create a lot of new learning. Oh, I never thought this way. Why can't we do this way? So in the next parent chemistry night, I will go and revise, refine and update that particular thing. Grandparents are so awesome. They will give you tips like, from chemistry in the kitchen to chemistry in the bathroom to chemistry in the garden to, they come with the so bubbling and they would stay there. Okay, if you want, you go, let me demonstrate something in the chemistry night. They will stay here and then, they have been my, I would say that they are my resources. They are my resources. The parent chemistry night, if I did not do the parent chemistry night every year like this, I would not have grown to this extent in terms of inquiry. And sometimes accidents would happen, accidents in the sense that spillage will happen. And it's all fun. It's all fun. And I record for safety purposes. I record the entire parent chemistry night with permission from parents because anything can happen at any time. We do it after school hours. Therefore, all those video clips are available so that the students' reactions, their questions, their amazement and amusement, all those kind of things are extraordinary. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. My principal permitted, although it is very hot setup. And I'm the only chemistry teacher in the sense that who will conduct parent chemistry and other chemistry teachers. Although they are there, they would not participate. But still, I took the burden of doing that, and that was the skill set, I would say. So within my school system and within the seminars which my school system permits, I have, because I have permission of everybody. They have to sign a paper that if needed, we will use it for educational purposes. I'm not publishing it anywhere, but the seminars like this, I would love to share because they have enabled me to share that with you. I can share with you the labs I do, although I change a few of them, but some of them are common things. They will never lose interest. Everybody wants those labs.
Yeah.
So some of the students who major in chemistry or who go to college, either medical college or engineering college, they come back. Even in the college, we don't get to do such kind of interesting labs that we did in the high school. That's their comment all the time, because that's more like, a conventional lab and conventional lab report like thing, less of this kind of, less kind of more interested inquiry processes. So the ultimate goal of this exercise is to have good chemists, because chemistry is the central science and chemistry is the backbone of various industries, and chemistry runs the economy of nations. Chemistry is a major employer. Field of chemistry is a major employer. And in the future, we don't develop chemists who will go and run their industries, who will take care of the environment, who will be good teachers and educators in chemistry, then the future will not be very bright. So on our side, the strength that it gives me is that I'm not doing any more labs and lab reports. Okay, I don't have to do that. And also when students enter, hey doctor, what are we doing new today? With that question, when they come, they take the ownership without you having to force anything on them, because they're expecting something interesting. They're not asking for a new material, but they want some new investigation. They want a new inquiry process, something they can share out, something they can get out of their seat, do. And, they can do the total physical response. They can just, wave their hands. They can just do all those kind of dramatic things in the classroom. And also it fulfills the administrators' walkthrough a lot of time. Okay, when they come, your class is all the time engaged. They're so happy with that because they want it. But some amount of organization is needed. And I was also writing a book. All that you need is $100 per year for chemistry labs. You don't need anything. I have gotten rid of, I don't use any gas anymore. I was even telling my principal, this gas supply, this gas production should not be in high school anymore. We have to do away with that.
How can we get your book?
I'm just writing. We have $100 all chemistry lab per year, $100. I'm just putting all these labs together. Probably I contacted NSTA. They said that they would be interested in. Let me finish it.
I would love to see that book.
Yeah. Anything. I just get most of the stuff either from Dollar Tree or and these are recyclable all the time. I just, once you organize everything, then the space you can space is minimal use, and the classroom is all the time looking neater. Students are willing to help you put up things. So I never have any issue of, oh, if I do the lab, what would I do for the next period? Who's going to put up? Because I'm able to stop the inquiry 10 minutes ahead of time. Students are willing to put things back because they know the difficulty. Once they know how hard, how valuable the materials are, however, because that's how they go. But it takes some time. They need to know your real intentions of giving. They need to know, once that understanding is there, then it is a kind of it becomes so easy because you are working with the students, not you are working alone.
How much curriculum do you get through, like topic-wise, through this inquiry process?
Everything. I never stop. There are teachers in my school system who never go to thermochemistry, who never go to kinetics, and they finish it and leave for the AP chemistry teacher to handle them when they go to AP. But I never do that because I finish every single thing. I plan it. In my unit plan, I do the cross-concept connection. So some of the kinetic concept I would have way ahead introduced early, so that when it comes to kinetics, I don't have to spend full time on chemistry. Thermochemistry, I would introduce way ahead in the types of reactions itself. So you have to have the map, the huge map, and okay, this has to be taught here. This has to be taught here. This has to be taught here. Some amount of pre-preparation is needed in that, because I don't want to miss thermochemistry, because it is needed for AP chemistry, AP biology, AP physics, and also AP environmental science. If students are going to miss it in the chemistry classroom, then they're seeing that information for the first time and they stress you and they get stressed. So I never want that to happen. So I plan it in such a way that everything is completed, and I never had in my career, I never had omitted anything so far. But if you're doing it for the first time, if you start doing it, initial struggle will be there. Initially, some struggle will be there. That is natural for any learning process. Then once you start doing it, it's an addiction process. You get it. You will do it because it comes so handy for you. And instead of loading them with the paper material, and then you have to be on the board and then teaching them, they do it because the questions, one after the other, it takes them through the process. And there are peers to ask. You are not the only person available for them. There are peers to ask. And simple mechanisms like, in the initial days when students are coming tomorrow and the day after, like, I just announce some kind of officer position in the classroom, within the classroom. Okay, I want some people to help me with as peer facilitators. I just prepare a little badge for them, chemistry peer facilitator, if they're willing to do that. Okay, after observing, so that badge, when they come in, they put it on and they become like, mini teachers, and they love it. But some kind of a trade-off is necessary. And chemistry club helps. A parent chemistry night helps. Polymer club helps. I run 5 clubs. I run National Beta Club. I run STEAM Club, Polymer Club, Chemistry Club, and Science National Honor Society. So in major events like the parent chemistry night, or I also teach physics, therefore parent physics night, I do it. So these students are able to come and help. They will be presenters in every station, 34 station, imagine, 34 different stations. So I need 34 volunteers for that. And these people help me with the process. Any more questions for me?
I'd be really interested to see how you've organized your cross curriculum or your integration of the curriculum into through the threads of your material to get through it all. I've tried to do some inquiry, and I found that it slowed me down so much that I couldn't get through enough topics to prepare my kids. So that was why I was curious as to like how you get through all the topics that you would want to cover using the inquiry approach.
I can give you my unit plan. Like inquiry approach, lesser is a burden, that's what I would say. But there are some concepts which you've got to anchor them. For example, initial concept of orbital, initial concept of, especially d orbital, f orbital filling. All right, some amount of tedious work is necessary. But even that, I organize in a different manner. I use a kind of a spreadsheet, and then I give them an interactive spreadsheet in which they can copy paste, because when they go to the next element, the previous element is repeated. That's what is happening. So they don't have to physically do anything. The earlier row is copied into the next one. You give an interactive spreadsheet and they go on plugging in the electrons. But difficulty when the nuances come in the D1. After D1, they have to go to F. Is it not? After when you come to the rare earth or the inner transition elements, F block, after you put one electron in the D, then you have to go to the F. And those two are very important nuances. In that, some amount of training is necessary. So when the orbital filling, we have to reduce the manual labor. If we could reduce the manual labor, then they enjoy it. Some teachers who I know, they take it so rigorously on the students as if, they have to fill all these and then show. That's not how it is. The basic ideology is that a new element is created on top of the previous element with one more extra electron. And where that electron has to be placed depends on these basic rules. That's it. For that, you have the Aufbau diagram. And in the Aufbau diagram, that where the deviation from Aufbau diagram takes place, we have to make it very clear to them. Until it is anchored in their mind, it has to be visually presented almost every single day. And after some time, they're on their own. Nothing, and they don't forget it. So wherever possible, I reduce the labor. I reduce the labor on them. It is unnecessary labor to fill in the electrons in the orbitals of energy. And you would have seen, I would have published one thing where the ring diagram and the box diagram are not separate. They are one and the same. Why one and the same? Because if this is your nucleus, and if this is your hydrogen, then you have the first electron like this. So this is an orbital. Put a box over here. This is an orbital. All right. When it transitions into helium, so you're going to go to the same orbital, same box, but this electron is going in the opposite spin. So the box diagram has to be introduced when you are doing the ring diagram. So, I don't have to necessarily teach a box diagram separately because of that, because it makes it simple. Because a box diagram or a ring diagram is a conceptual thing. It's real. So we shouldn't feel very hard pressed about that. So all these should be given interactively, because what we want them to understand how hydrogen becomes helium. All right. So once this part is done, then this makes sense because it has to be electrically neutral. So it has to have one proton here. Then it has to have two protons here. Initially, I'm not going to talk much about the neutrons because neutrons are going to be covered in the isotope later on. We don't want you to be memorizing the isotopes of all elements. All that the curriculum needs is the 3 isotopes of hydrogen. That's all we need. So only focus on hydrogen whenever it comes to isotopes, and then they get the knowledge. Similarly, every other element is going to have isotopes depending on the number of neutrons that they have. And why a neutron has to be different, we need to provide explanation why it should be different. All right, because any species comes in a variety. For that, you can take capsicum. Capsicum can be blue, capsicum can be green, it can be in different colors, but basically all capsicum. That is somewhere in a particular transition or some extra element in one of the DNAs or the construction of the basic genetic code. That is where that one particular thing is different. That's all it is. So chemistry can become interesting only when we reduce the labor on the student. And second, we have to reduce the labor on ourselves. Reducing labor comes from ingenuity. First, we have to be very ingenious in that. And first, we should be forgiving ourselves and we should be forgiving our students in 2 ways. Forgiving in the sense that we have to make a decision. Okay, I'm not going to invest too much of time on laborious things. I'm not going to do very big labs. What I'm going to do is very many labs. That's all it is, which is aligned to the curriculum. Always I will think ahead. Where would I fit in this lab into a later on thing? So I'm not going to do that lab. I'm already done with this. And I will refer to it. Hey, think of that lab that we did. This is what it is. So some amount of, I would say some amount of, a commitment should be there. I'm not going to do it. I used to be leaving school 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. There were years in English. I learned it the hard way. I knew that although I work hard, Students are not getting it. They're not getting a reason why. I put up, even I can show you some of my earlier notes. Every day I will question, why? Why? I spent so much time designing it. I spent so much, but it doesn't, they didn't get it. Why? What's the reason? Because I was dominating. I was thinking that I was the owner of the knowledge. I was giving them and they were receiving it. They never receive it. They take you out of their mind. They will be living in a different world if you don't have them engaged in the classroom. I learned it hard way. It may be very funny. I did a whole PhD in science education and my specialization is chemistry education. So some amount of collaboration with the chemistry teachers, with the more experienced teachers, that reduces the burden. That's why, this kind of, meetings are very important. Because you don't have to, my son would say, anything mechanically repeating, give it to the computer, don't do it. You're not a robot to do repeated thing, the same thing, same thing, same thing. That's not. He's a computer engineer, so he taught me the design principle. In design, repeated laborious processes are not required of humans. They are required of machines. You are a human being with a brain. Why don't you use this brain to reduce this labor? I learned a lot from him. So I'll be too willing to share anything, how I push things forward so that, later on things, especially April comes, nobody is available. They're going for assessment. They're going for this. They're going for that. We don't get to see them after April at all. So given that the conditions are real, the world is real, our job is really very hard one, but within that, how much can you save your time and your energy so that every day you come to school with that freshness? That is very important, because this is a job that can take you to greater heights and also take you to the abysmal bottom. So please email me. My email address is renuka.rajasekaran, first after last name at Henry.
I will also post it on the summary page for this session so that everyone has it. And Renuka is also registered for the conference, so it's also in the conference registration information.
I'd be too willing to help you with anything, how to bridge the concepts, how to push it, how to, especially if you master the atomic structure, if you master the orbital diagrams, then the great success comes, because that is the real hard part of chemistry that consumes so much of time. Get it simple, get it simple, get it simple, get it simple. Because after that, they don't apply it. Later on, they don't apply it at all. Later concepts are just going in a different direction. They are more investigation related. They are more concept building than this, I would say, abstract. That abstract thing, make it more interactive. Because it's a concept. Chemistry teachers fail to believe that ring diagram is a concept. Box diagram is a concept that people have developed in order to explain things. Nobody has ever seen a box there. The quantum mechanical model is totally different. It is talking about the probability of the position at a particular point of time. That's all it is. So most of the teachers spend most of the time in the ring and the box diagram, and then they miss the real thing out of it.
I put your email in the chat as well.
Okay, good, very good. I'll be too willing to help you. You can shoot me an email and anything, because life is precious. I'm also old. Anytime I may go. The future is with you, the future generation of chemists and chemistry educators. They are in your hands.
Right. I think this is a good stopping point. Renuka, thank you so much for your time and energy this morning, especially with getting ready for back to school on your own
Yeah.
end. I can't remember if you've already shared your PowerPoint with us. If you can
I
upload,
don't know. I can email you. Would you be able to share it in the comment thing?
if you email it to the NEACT 1898 Gmail account, I can upload it to the.
Give me a second. What is that? I have the email address of yours.
Yep, it's the one that we've emailed back and forth on.
Okay, okay. I will send it to you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you can share it with you, and please encourage people to contact me. I'll be very too willing to help you with anything, because it's not hard. Chemistry teaching is not hard at all.
But that you can send it to that email and I can upload it to the folder, which
Okay,
is
sure.
also register for the conference. So, and you've got the website, the link for the folder is also there on the conference.
Well, all that I can do only after tonight, because today is going to be, we have open house starting in very shortly. I have to go wear my school shirt. It's already ready here.
I'm
I
gonna
have
stop
some.
the recording here.
Yeah.